Machiavelli once wrote that men forget the death of their fathers sooner than the loss of their inheritance. Centuries later, his words still expose an uncomfortable truth, that humans are not guided by morality or compassion but by self-preservation and gain. Yet, from birth, we're conditioned to believe the opposite. Society glorifies emotion. It tells you to care, to empathize, to wear your heart on your sleeve. But in doing so, it disarms you. Emotion, though painted as virtue, is often your greatest weakness. It clouds judgment, breeds hesitation, and makes you predictable. The more you feel, the easier you are to control. Anger can be provoked, guilt can be used, and love can be exploited. Those who operate without emotion are feared precisely because they cannot be manipulated. Guilt doesn't reach them, shame doesn't control them, and fear doesn't slow them down. They have mastered detachment, and detachment is power. The illusion of emotion is that it makes you human. In truth, it makes you vulnerable. The world rewards not those who feel deeply, but those who think clearly. Empathy, while noble, becomes a trap in a world that thrives on dominance and strategy. The man who remains calm while others drown in passion becomes untouchable. To survive among wolves, you cannot be their prey. You must learn to be colder, sharper, and more precise than those around you. Coldness is not cruelty, it is clarity. It allows you to see people as they are, not as you wish them to be. It cuts through deception, exposing motive and weakness. This is not a call to abandon your humanity but to control it. You cannot master the world until you master your own reactions. Emotion is the leash that keeps most men enslaved to the whims of others. If you wish to break free, you must learn to feel less and see more. Once you shatter the illusion of emotion, you'll understand the true source of power: calmness in chaos, silence in confrontation, and control in the face of manipulation. That is where dominance begins.
And remember, power whispers, never roars, never.
Machiavelli never praised kindness. He praised control, the ability to stay composed when others break. Coldness, in his world, wasn't a flaw but a weapon, the difference between survival and destruction. To understand why coldness equals power, you must first recognize what emotion truly costs you. Every time anger dictates your actions, you lose clarity. Every time love clouds your logic, you lose leverage. Every time guilt controls your choices, someone else gains power over you. The world doesn't reward the emotional. It rewards the unshaken. Those who can detach from chaos while others drown in it rise naturally to dominance. Think of every great conqueror, strategist, or leader. They were not driven by sympathy but by calculation. They made decisions rooted in reason, not reaction. The ability to act without emotional interference grants you a precision most people never achieve. Coldness sharpens judgment, strengthens will, and builds a barrier no manipulation can penetrate. Emotions are the tools others use to control you. They guilt you into submission, flatter you into trust, or anger you into mistakes. But when you are cold, you become unreadable, and what cannot be read cannot be played. Coldness creates mystery. Mystery creates fear. And fear, as Machiavelli taught, is far more reliable than love. This doesn't mean you become cruel or robotic. Coldness is not about destroying your humanity, it's about commanding it.
Never forget, hidden behind calm faces.
When you master emotional control, you no longer react impulsively. You respond with strategy. Instead of exploding in rage, you observe. Instead of pleading for understanding, you calculate your next move. This composure unsettles people because it denies them access to your emotions, the very thing they depend on to influence you. Power lies in restraint. The cold man doesn't waste energy explaining himself or seeking validation. His silence is unsettling. His calmness in conflict feels inhuman. That unease becomes authority. People respect those they cannot shake. They fear those who cannot be guilt or swayed. When emotions rule you, you serve others. When coldness rules you, you command yourself. That control extends to every arena: business, relationships, conflict. The cold person makes decisions that serve long-term outcomes, not momentary satisfaction. He never reacts for approval, he acts for advantage. Coldness is the art of seeing clearly while others see through fog. It is power born not from cruelty but from self-mastery.
Mark this, the illusion of freedom.
When you no longer need validation, affection, or pity to act, you become free. That freedom is what makes you dangerous. And in a world built on manipulation, danger is respect. The world glorifies emotion as if it were the highest form of humanity. You're told that to feel deeply is to live fully, that compassion is strength, and that vulnerability is noble. But Machiavelli saw through that illusion centuries ago. He understood that emotion, when uncontrolled, is the quickest path to ruin. Feeling too much doesn't make you human, it makes you predictable. Every emotion you wear openly becomes a map for others to exploit. Show anger and they'll provoke you. Show guilt and they'll control you. Show love and they'll use it to bind you. The more emotionally expressive you are, the easier it is for others to guide your actions.
Always recall, mystery is armor.
This is why those who rule the world often appear detached. They don't lack emotion, they control it so tightly that no one can weaponize it against them. When you let emotions guide you, you stop thinking strategically. Anger clouds judgment, turning intelligence into impulse. Love blinds you, making you see loyalty where there is manipulation. Fear paralyzes, trapping you in hesitation. And guilt, perhaps the most dangerous, makes you surrender even when you're right. The result is always the same. You become reactive instead of decisive. You move on emotion rather than intention. Machiavelli warned that the world rewards calculation, not compassion. The soft-hearted are rarely remembered except as lessons in what not to be. In history and in life, it's not the emotional who survive, it's the composed. The cold see clearly while others drown in passion. They act while others hesitate. They endure while others crumble. This doesn't mean emotion must die. It means emotion must obey. You should feel anger but not show it. Feel love but not lose logic. Feel fear but never let it guide you. Emotion is energy, use it as fuel, not direction. Turn pain into strategy and heartbreak into focus. Every feeling becomes a resource once you stop letting it control your actions. People will accuse you of being heartless when you begin to master this. They'll say you've changed, that you're distant, cruel, or cold. What they really mean is that they can no longer use your emotions to control you. Those who thrived on your warmth will recoil from your silence. They'll test you, provoke you, try to resurrect the version of you they could manipulate. You must not yield. Their discomfort is confirmation that your transformation works. Feeling too much is the downfall of those who want peace in a world built on competition. You cannot negotiate with people who see kindness as weakness. You cannot reason with those who view empathy as opportunity. To survive, you must protect your emotional energy the way warriors protect their weapons. Every tear, every apology, every emotional outburst is ammunition handed to someone else. Coldness, then, is not about being unkind. It's about self-preservation. It's the act of guarding your mind from being enslaved by feelings that serve no purpose.
Take note. Confusion is a weapon.
The person who can detach from emotional storms remains powerful in all situations. They see betrayal coming, detect manipulation instantly, and never lose control of their direction. Those who feel too much spend their lives reacting. Those who master coldness spend their lives leading. The choice isn't between emotion and apathy, it's between being used and being free. Feelings can inspire, but they should never rule. Once you understand this, you stop being prey in a world of predators. You stop bleeding for others and start building yourself into something far more formidable, untouchable. Detachment is often misunderstood as indifference or lack of care. In truth, it is the most advanced form of control a person can possess. Detachment allows you to see reality without the fog of emotion, to act with precision instead of reaction, and to protect yourself from the emotional traps that others unconsciously fall into. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone, that power belongs to those who can stay calm while others burn. To detach is to rise above the chaos of impulse. Most people live as prisoners of their emotions. They chase approval, seek validation, and crave affection, thinking these things give meaning. In reality, they create dependence. A detached mind does not need constant reassurance. It stands steady, making choices not for comfort but for outcome. Detachment is not coldness for cruelty's sake. It is strategic clarity, the ability to act without distortion. When you detach, manipulation loses its grip. No insult provokes you, no flattery blinds you, and no affection weakens your focus. You stop reacting to the world and start shaping it. Detachment makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability commands respect. The calm observer terrifies the emotional crowd because he cannot be read or swayed. His silence feels like power, his stillness like control. Detach from praise as much as from criticism. The world swings between admiration and condemnation. If you rely on either, you surrender stability. Praise can make you complacent. Criticism can make you defensive. Both distract from your purpose. The detached individual listens but is not moved. He collects information, filters emotion, and uses it only when it serves a larger plan. Detachment also reshapes relationships. You begin to see people for their actions, not their words. Love is no longer blind, it becomes measured. Loyalty is no longer assumed, it is tested. Detachment gives you the ability to walk away from what no longer serves you without guilt or hesitation. It teaches you that caring deeply does not require caring foolishly. You can value others without surrendering control of your mind. To cultivate detachment, start with awareness. Observe your emotions as they arise. When anger flares, ask what purpose it serves. When fear whispers, ask what it protects. Most emotions are habits, not truths. By analyzing them instead of obeying them, you reclaim your power.
And remember, never reveal your intent.
Over time, your reactions slow, your perception sharpens, and your decisions become deliberate. People will call you distant because they mistake composure for apathy. They'll say you lack empathy because your silence denies them validation. But the truth is, detachment isn't the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of it. You still feel anger, sadness, and love, but they no longer dictate your behavior. You control the release valve, deciding when and how to express them. That is true strength. Machiavelli advised rulers to be both lion and fox, bold yet calculating. Detachment is the balance between those instincts. It lets you strike with precision, not desperation. It allows you to walk away from battles unworthy of your attention and focus on those that bring true victory. The weapon of detachment is silent but devastating. It protects you from manipulation, strengthens your authority, and gives you a perspective few possess. When you no longer react, you command. When you no longer need, you lead. Detachment is not escape, it is elevation. It is the invisible armor of those destined to outlast everyone else.
Never forget, predictability kills power.
Becoming cold is not an accident, it is a deliberate process. Machiavelli did not advocate detachment as a personality trait but as a skill, one that can be trained, honed, and perfected. The first step is observation without judgment. Most people react immediately to anger, fear, or disappointment. You, however, must pause and ask, what is the advantage in responding this way? What risk lies in giving into emotion? This pause is your first line of defense against manipulation and impulsive decisions. The second step is stop justifying your actions. People demand explanations, apologies, and rationales, but every justification is a window into your mind. Silence is your ally. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop being predictable. Your reasoning becomes private and your actions become autonomous. Those who cannot read you cannot control you. Step 3 is strategic isolation. Coldness thrives in selective presence. Not everyone deserves your attention, your trust, or your loyalty. Distance yourself from those who drain, deceive, or manipulate. Observe from afar and engage only when it benefits you. Isolation is not loneliness, it is power. Fewer people understanding your motives means fewer people can exploit them. Step 4 is convert emotion into action. Emotions themselves are neutral, it is indulgence that makes them dangerous. Anger can fuel calculated retaliation. Fear can sharpen foresight. Loss can inspire strategy. Every feeling becomes a tool, a resource, and a weapon once you stop letting it dominate your reasoning. Step 5 is detachment in relationships. Love, friendship, and family bonds are opportunities for leverage. both for you and against you. Care strategically. Value connections that serve your purpose, and remain emotionally immune to betrayal. Machiavelli emphasized that rulers who are loved but weak are doomed, while those who are feared and strategic endure. Apply the same principle in your life. Respect is earned, affection is optional.
Mark this. Mercy is weakness.
Step 6 is develop a cold presence. Your tone, expression, and reactions must radiate calm control. Smile but let it be measured. Speak but with intent. Never reveal inner turbulence. Composure in chaos commands respect and enforces boundaries without a word. People are intimidated not by aggression but by silence and clarity. Step 7 is ruthless self-honesty. Identify weaknesses, emotional triggers, irrational attachments. Acknowledge them, then dismantle or control them. Every unchecked fear is a vulnerability. Coldness begins with clarity about yourself. Step 8 is use fear strategically. Coldness is not cruelty, it is deterrence. People naturally fear what they cannot control. Let them sense that you are impervious to manipulation. When they doubt their influence over you, they respect you, hesitate before crossing you, and act cautiously around your presence. Finally, step 9 is observe, calculate, execute. Coldness is precision, not passivity. Every word, decision, and movement must be deliberate. Strike when necessary from a place of detachment and always with purpose. You are no longer reactive, you are in command. Master these steps and coldness transforms from skill into identity. You move through life untouchable, strategic, and respected, a presence no one dares underestimate. Emotional control is the foundation of true power. Without it, coldness is incomplete and detachment becomes fragile. Machiavelli understood that the greatest advantage a person can have is mastery over their own reactions. When others act on impulse, the controlled mind seizes the upper hand. To master emotion, you must first recognize its influence. Anger, fear, love, and guilt are not weaknesses themselves, but the failure to manage them is. Awareness is the first step toward dominance. Step 1 is pause before reacting. Every situation offers a choice. Respond impulsively or respond strategically. The weak react instantly, guided by emotion. The cold pause, consider, and then act.
Always recall. Dependence is control.
This moment of reflection is where advantage is gained. By observing before acting, you prevent manipulation and maintain clarity. Step 2 is detachment from outcomes. Most people tie their worth to success, recognition, or approval. Emotional dependence on results makes them reactive, desperate, and predictable. The disciplined individual understands that outcomes are tools, not validations. Detachment allows decisions to be made from logic and foresight rather than neediness or pride. Step 3 is emotional invisibility. Others will always test, provoke, or attempt to manipulate. They seek reactions as confirmation of control. By remaining unreadable, you deny them that leverage. Smile without revealing intent. Speak without betraying inner turbulence. Let your calmness be a silent weapon. People fear what they cannot penetrate. Step 4 is channel emotion into action. Do not suppress feelings entirely, transform them. Anger becomes calculated strategy. Fear becomes preparation. Sadness or disappointment becomes fuel for reflection and improvement. Each emotion, once mastered, becomes a tool to strengthen influence and decision-making. Step 5 is maintain boundaries in relationships. Emotional dependence creates vulnerability. Love, loyalty, and friendship should be earned, not surrendered blindly. The cold individual connects strategically, aware of the risk in over-attachment. By valuing others only as far as they serve your purpose, you protect your autonomy while maintaining alliances. Step 6 is consistency under pressure. Adversity will test your mastery. Betrayal, insult, and chaos are inevitable. The controlled mind responds with calculation, not panic. By reacting predictably only to serve strategy, you create a reputation of unshakable stability. Others will defer to your judgment and respect your presence. Step 7 is internalized discipline. Emotional control must become habitual. Observe reactions, identify triggers, and systematically remove impulsive responses. Over time, calmness becomes instinctive. The world cannot manipulate what no longer reacts. Mastery of emotion transforms perception. You become the steady force in a turbulent environment. Allies trust your judgment, enemies hesitate before challenging you, and situations that overwhelm others become opportunities for advantage. Emotional control is not suppression, it is command. And command is the true measure of power.
Take note. Reputation is an invisible army.
Coldness becomes truly powerful when applied beyond theory, when it begins to shape how you move through the world, build alliances, and respond to others. In work and relationships, emotion is both the most common weakness and the most effective weapon. Those who learn to remain calm and strategic while others act out of fear or attachment rise effortlessly above the crowd. In the workplace, emotional control separates leaders from followers. Most people react to pressure, criticism, or competition with insecurity. They chase validation, fear rejection, and exhaust themselves trying to please everyone. The cold individual, however, understands that authority is built through composure. When chaos erupts, they don't mirror panic. They observe, plan, and act. Their calmness feels like confidence, their silence like certainty. Others begin to rely on their stability, unaware that this dependence gives the cold one quiet control. Machiavelli taught that perception is more powerful than truth. In any environment, it's not enough to be competent. You must appear unshakable. Coldness builds that image. When you refuse to show anxiety, frustration, or desperation, others assume you have leverage. Even if you're struggling internally, the mask of calm convinces others you are in command. This illusion alone is a form of dominance. It keeps enemies uncertain and allies aligned. When applying coldness in relationships, the challenge deepens. Affection, attraction, and loyalty are emotional battlegrounds where most people surrender their power willingly. They give too much, too soon, seeking connection through vulnerability. But vulnerability in the wrong hands becomes a tool of control. The cold individual approaches relationships with awareness. Care is offered, not given freely, trust is earned, not assumed, and emotional exposure is measured. Coldness in love is not about cruelty. It's about preserving clarity when emotions run high. When others lose reason in attachment, the cold mind remains analytical. They can step back when needed, observe behavior patterns, and make choices based on alignment, not emotion. This prevents manipulation and ensures relationships remain balanced rather than dependent. The secret is detachment without neglect. You can love someone deeply and still stay composed. You can work passionately and still remain strategic. True coldness doesn't destroy warmth, it refines it. It removes the chaos from care and replaces it with intent. It teaches you to show emotion when it strengthens your position and withdraw it when it weakens you.
And remember, silence humiliates louder than words.
Coldness applied is about presence, not absence. You're not emotionless, you're emotionally disciplined. You know when to step forward and when to disappear. You know how to reward loyalty without inviting exploitation. You understand that control in relationships and work is not about domination. It's about maintaining balance while others lose theirs. When you master this, your silence carries more power than their words, your restraint more impact than their passion. You no longer chase connection or approval, they come to you. Because in a world ruled by emotion, the calmest mind always wins. Isolation has always been feared, yet for those who seek mastery, it becomes a source of strength. Machiavelli believed that solitude is not weakness, it is the forge where clarity and control are born. The cold individual understands that to remain powerful among others, one must first learn to be powerful alone. Most people dread being alone because silence forces them to confront their thoughts. But for the strategic mind, that silence becomes a weapon, a space to refine, plan, and rise.
Never forget, scarcity creates desire.
Isolation teaches self-sufficiency. When you detach from constant validation, your focus shifts inward. You stop depending on others to define your worth. You stop chasing attention, approval, or belonging. In that stillness, your perception sharpens. You begin to see patterns that others miss. The motives behind words, the emotions hidden in tone, the strategies buried in chaos. Solitude turns observation into power. Machiavelli advised rulers to step away from the noise of the crowd to think clearly. The same applies to you. When surrounded by others, your mind absorbs their energy, opinions, and fears. In isolation, you hear your own thoughts again. You learn which desires are truly yours and which were imposed by the world. The longer you spend in this mental clarity, the stronger your independence grows. Isolation also hardens resilience. Those who cannot be alone are easily broken by abandonment or rejection. They beg for company, compromise their values, and fear disconnection. But the one who thrives in solitude cannot be cornered or manipulated. They don't need anyone to survive. They choose who to allow in. This choice alone reverses the balance of power, dependence shifts, and the isolated one becomes dominant. Yet, isolation must not become escape. The goal is not to withdraw from life but to retreat strategically, to rebuild your mind in private before returning stronger. A period of solitude resets your emotional balance, clears mental clutter, and restores control. Like a warrior sharpening his blade in silence before battle, you too must use solitude to refine your edge.
Mark this. Emotion is a tool, not a truth.
In isolation, the illusions of emotion dissolve. Without external noise, you realize how often your reactions are shaped by others. You see how fear of loss controls decisions, how desire for approval breeds compromise. Alone, you reclaim ownership of your choices. Every emotion is examined, understood, and disciplined. This process transforms isolation into insight. The cold individual uses isolation not as punishment but as preparation. While others waste energy in endless social noise, you move quietly, refining strategy and character. You emerge with direction while they remain distracted. People mistake your solitude for loneliness, unaware that your stillness conceals strength. When you return from isolation, you carry an aura that unsettles others, a calm, unbending energy that commands respect. You speak less but with purpose. You act slower but with precision. This energy can only be forged in silence. Isolation is where detachment matures into dominance. It strips you of emotional noise and rebuilds you into something immovable. It teaches that solitude is not the absence of connection but the presence of control. You stop needing the world's chaos to feel alive. You become whole within yourself, and that self-sufficiency terrifies those who depend on others for strength. The final stage of coldness is not emptiness but sovereignty.
Always recall, patience wins more than force.
To master isolation is to master life itself, because the one who needs nothing cannot be broken by anything. Every philosophy of coldness is tested not in comfort but in betrayal. It's easy to appear composed when life flows smoothly, but the true measure of control emerges when trust is shattered, when allies turn enemies, and when adversity strikes from every direction. Machiavelli believed that betrayal is not misfortune, it is revelation. It exposes truth, sharpens instinct, and separates the emotional from the strategic. When betrayal comes, the average person collapses into reaction: anger, grief, revenge. But these emotions only feed the betrayer's power. The cold individual does not lash out, they observe. They collect information, motives, patterns, weaknesses, while maintaining silence. This silence unnerves the traitor because they expect chaos and receive calm. In that stillness you regain control. Every emotion you suppress becomes focus. Every disappointment becomes data. Adversity is the battlefield where your detachment is proven. When you face loss or humiliation, the world watches for your response. The weak defend themselves loudly, explaining, crying, begging for understanding. The strong say nothing. They rebuild quietly. This composure is not submission. It is dominance disguised as patience. The one who controls their emotions during defeat is already planning the comeback. Machiavelli advised leaders to never waste a betrayal. Every act of treachery reveals who can be trusted, who must be removed, and who can be manipulated. The cold mind understands that people will always serve their interests first. Expecting loyalty from everyone is naive, preparing for disloyalty is wisdom. In adversity, assume nothing but calculate everything. Use betrayal as transformation. Pain is information. It teaches what emotions made you vulnerable, what patterns led you into traps.
Never forget, time is the sharpest sword.
Analyze them without pity. You will find that the people who betrayed you often gave you the greatest gift: clarity. They stripped away illusion and forced evolution. Coldness turns adversity into armor. Each wound becomes proof of endurance, each disappointment another layer of strength. Over time, you stop fearing betrayal altogether because you no longer invest blind trust. You give people access only to what they can afford to lose, never to the core of your power. When the storm passes, you emerge quieter, sharper, and untouchable. Those who wronged you expect vengeance, but indifference wounds them more deeply. Nothing destroys a betrayer faster than realizing they no longer affect you. Adversity reveals your discipline, betrayal refines your intelligence, and both build your authority. To remain calm through destruction is the ultimate display of control. You become what Machiavelli called unassailable, a person who cannot be shaken by emotion, circumstance, or deceit. The test of betrayal is not about survival, it is about transformation. You don't just recover, you evolve into something colder, wiser, and infinitely more powerful. To become untouchable is to reach the highest form of power, the point where nothing external can disturb your inner state. It's not about wealth, status, or influence, but about unshakable control over your mind and emotions. Machiavelli understood that the strongest individual is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers himself. Untouchability is built on 3 pillars: clarity, composure, and control. Clarity allows you to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. You no longer romanticize people or situations. You read motives, patterns, and consequences with precision. Composure keeps you still when others panic, allowing your silence to project authority. And control ensures your emotions, impulses, and reactions serve your strategy, never the other way around.
And remember, silence humiliates louder than words.
The untouchable person operates on principle, not emotion. They understand that chaos is constant. Betrayal, loss, and conflict will never disappear. But what changes is your response. When you stop reacting, you start ruling. People sense when they cannot sway or provoke you, and that realization grants you psychological dominance. Your calmness becomes terrifying, your restraint becomes influence. To achieve this state, you must first abandon the need to prove yourself. Validation is the leash that controls most people. The untouchables seek no approval, they act in alignment with their purpose. Criticism does not wound them, praise does not blind them. They understand both are fleeting illusions. Their worth is internal, self-defined, and unshakable. Next, you must detach from outcomes. Success and failure are both temporary. What matters is not the result but the consistency of control. The cold strategist focuses on direction, not destination. Whether they win or lose, their discipline remains unchanged. This indifference to extremes is what makes them impossible to defeat. The final step is emotional invisibility. When others cannot predict your thoughts or feelings, they lose leverage. You become a mirror, reflecting others' emotions without revealing your own. Your neutrality disarms, confuses, and commands respect. Even in confrontation, your calm becomes power. People project strength onto what they cannot read. Untouchable people move differently. They walk slowly, speak deliberately, and react rarely. Their presence changes the atmosphere because it carries certainty, the kind that cannot be faked. They are immune to gossip, insult, and manipulation because their power comes from within, not from others' opinions. This is the end goal of coldness, not emptiness but equilibrium. You are no longer driven by desire or fear, no longer trapped in cycles of reaction. You stand apart, calm, calculating, and quietly commanding. The world can rage, betray, or crumble, but your center remains unshaken. That is true freedom. That is the essence of Machiavellian mastery: to feel everything yet reveal nothing, to face everything yet fear nothing, to be untouchable not by distance but by discipline.